Hi there, welcome back. Jay and Cuddlefish, and I have a special guest today.
Hi, it's Silver Blaze, the usual suspect of these collabs.
If you've been following any YouTube essayists, there's been a big thing going on in the new wave from Nano V movies. Previously we had one marvelous scene, now we have not marvelous, but an excellent scene for X-Men. It's a pun. So let's go talk about one that we've done today, that for me, I've actually decided to go examine one of the scenes from Deadpool.
Ooh, Deadpool. Really exciting, yeah. And we should note this is a bit of a collab with my own channel that we ended up doing.
Absolutely. So after this video, I'll be giving a link to all y'all to her channel so you can go see her video, which I believe has a link to go back to my video. An infinite loop.
An infinite loop, indeed.
Oh my god, we're gonna get so many views. We just need one person to get trapped and we're set. Now, I don't imagine this spiking our sub count using the infinite loop, but we're gonna take what we can get.
Yeah, definitely.
So, let's go talk about Deadpool a little bit as an actual movie, which ends up being a really big change because it's kind of our first rated R movie we've gotten, especially from a Marvel property.
And it's honestly really strange because outside of this, I normally don't like Deadpool, but
He's annoying.
yeah, he is, but Ryan Reynolds makes it work so well, both as an R-rated movie and a Deadpool movie, because I kind of stay away from R-rated movies.
And this movie has used the idea of R-rated in almost every single way you could think of, from language to violence to sexual themes. But one scene that I will be looking at is admittedly a little PG-13 in its subject matter, but it's actually one of the least action-packed scenes.
What are we looking at?
We're gonna look at the beginning of our love story.
Oh yes, where Wade ends up meeting Vanessa.
After our Mr. Wade has a mission, he usually just goes back to the same bar where he ends up hanging out and he meets Vanessa. The main story here is they end up having a huge back and forth meeting each other, and you can think of it as love or lust at first sight, and that's fine. But after they talk to each other, there's banter,
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of banter.
and it comes by with some gross, large, old guy end up, kind of harassing her, but he decides to counter it. And before he even can stop this big, gross guy, she actually comes in and controls the situation herself, making the guy really uncomfortable and want to run away.
It's honestly very interesting to see this sort of thing. It definitely shows that Vanessa is not one to be trifled with. She's not some damsel in distress for Wade to swoop in and save. She can take care of herself, and it just feels really interesting, that dynamic of how you can basically put Wade and Vanessa on the same level, at least at this current point.
Yeah, and though at the end of the movie she does need some form of rescuing, in a lot of it that's only because of her relationship to Wade. A lot of her story is she's fine by herself, and it's displayed through the scene through her own actions. First reason that I think this is kind of sort of brilliant is it teaches how to fall in love.
Yeah.
And most of the time when you end up meeting somebody or try to fall in love with different people, it's kind of just happens. You make a friend or you go on a date or whatever it is. But you get to see the exact moments they fall for each other. And that's through something that Marvel's almost made fun of at times, witty banter.
Yeah, it definitely had very witty banter. It's like, because they were basically comparing who had the more horrible childhood.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of feel like they were partially making it up.
Oh, it was all a joke. And I love this, that they end up having this contest of trauma.
It really just, for one thing, it felt very funny, and I know that humor is subjective, but it felt really nice. It felt like this very witty and clever banter between these two interesting characters.
And we have witty banter with a lot of Marvel movies between characters all the time. But what makes this witty banter very special is they're kind of working together to tell a joke.
Yeah,
This
definitely.
this is not just witty banter of one person versus another. This is collaboration of rapport.
Like, one thing I remember in particular is when Vanessa's like, oh, I slept in a dishwasher box. Wade responds with, you had a dishwasher?
It's one way that they just constantly try to work off of each other. And in a quote that's going to happen much later when they are about to get married, he ends up saying, "Your crazy matches my crazy." And this is where the crazy starts.
It definitely starts here, and it feels really nice.
I think the second part that I think is absolutely brilliant that we should talk about is performance. And the way that they're able to not just make each other laugh, and they have this idea of cutting back and forth really quickly. So you can say, like, oh, it's like watching a game of tennis, right? You can watch this idea of who has control of the conversation, and this tennis ball is going back and forth on the court. And when Wade is able to make her laugh or even smile, when his final comment of, yeah, it's a dark place with a whole bunch of clown porn, she ends up laughing, and you can see at that very moment, that's when he falls in love with her. He falls in love with her smiling and laughing, and you can tell that this is the guy who is going to have a lot of fun making her smile, which is something that Deadpool/Wade is amazing at.
Yeah, and definitely one thing that brings this really great is how the actors just feel like they're at their best. Ryan Reynolds especially, because he just oozes personality, and it's really great.
Yeah. If you pay attention to not just their dialogue, but their delivery and their facial expressions, you can just look at them and say, oh my god, they're falling in love.
It's definitely a really brilliant scene, and it just goes to show how just A+ these actors are.
And it's a little bit playful for part 3, but I'm gonna say personality over sex, of how to make a lasting relationship.
Oh yeah, just their personality just really fits. And it like, the two just have this complementing personality to each other that just really works well for, not only for the romance itself, but just for the scene. Because it feels both romantic and funny.
Deadpool ends up paying $300 to her, and she says 48 minutes of whatever you want, and he uses it to play skee-ball. Brilliant of how they go from that and then go over to the next scene of him saying, yeah, I just want to get to know the real you, not this object peddled by Hollywood. And I think it's absolutely adorable because they fell in love with each other in a bar, and him knowing that she's a sex worker, and it's almost like a way for him to prove himself of what he's actually interested in.
Yeah, and that friendship will lead to the two of them getting married, and it just feels really nice.
One thing that I love is they love spending time with each other, and normally I don't think references are content, but this time I feel like the idea of references in pop culture and almost childish objects in games shows that these are people who make each other feel young again and happy, The idea of beauty and love is emphasized through their actions and choices. The idea of saying Rutro or choosing to get this legendary ring of Voltron is them just saying, we're going to have fun with ourselves and each other, and we hope we can do this again.
And it definitely sets the scene for not only their relationship, but kind of basically the entire movie.
Yeah, the entire Deadpool movie at its roots is really a love story, and I think that the direction and performance and writing taken within this scene is so meticulous to teach you how to fall in love, and I think that's what makes this one excellent scene. Anyways, that kind of wraps this up. If you want to go view my channel, you're already here, subscribe, that's going to be quite wonderful. You can also find me as Cuddlefish Tweet on the Twitters. If you want to find more of the other amazing content creators who are involved with this project over here, we can go put a playlist into the doobly-doo. But on top of that, bonus item the doobly-doo, collaborator here, tell us about yourself.
Oh yes, hi, I'm Silver Blaze. I do a lot of gaming videos. I do reactions to Nintendo Directs, though not really that much nowadays because Nintendo Directs are kind of dead.
Yikes.
But I'm also planning on making some videos with regards to TV shows and movies, so I've got those in the works. So if it sounds interesting to you, check me out. That's Silver Blaze. I don't really post too much with regards to my videos, but, it's good to just talk to people and have fun. That's what matters, right? That's what Vanessa and Wade showed us.
Yep, it's all about just having a good talk. Speaking of good talks, if you enjoyed this one here, I plan on having much more of that on my channel. I'll be talking about video games and TV shows and movies with storytelling or mechanical analysis and essays, and I'll continue to teach whatever I can about that. So I think we're good for today.
Yep, so we'll see you guys next time.
Class dismissed.